The Yorkshire Coastcast with Paddy. The people, the places. This is the coast.
Hello and welcome to episode 29 of the Yorkshire Coastcast. I'm Paddy Billington, and in this episode we are focusing our attention on everything to do with the Langdale Moor Fire.
The Yorkshire Coastcast with Paddy.
This is the coast.
And of course it is an ever-changing situation, so rather than telling you exactly what's happening right now as we record this, because of course people will be listening to this podcast at various times, we'll be speaking to people who are heavily involved in the Langdale Moor Fire, the people that have businesses, animals, farms in the path of the fire, and also the farmers who are working 24/7 to help firefighters put out the blaze. And we'll also speak to Scarborough and Whitby's MP Alison Hume about the government's response. All coming up on episode 29 of the Yorkshire Coastcast.
The Yorkshire Coastcast. Loving life in Yorkshire. The people, the places. This is the coast.
Well, as we record the podcast on the afternoon of Thursday, the 28th of August, the A171 between Whitby and Scarborough remains closed, as does the B1416 from Russup to the A171 past Woodsmith Mine, and a whole load of other local and rural roads in the area are also closed as well. North Yorkshire Police and North Yorkshire Council have been appealing to people not to drive past road closure signs and not to remove road closure signs, which has been happening earlier on this week. Some areas have been evacuated, including the Grouse Hill Caravan Park. That was on Tuesday afternoon and evening, and at the time of recording, no property has been involved in the fire at this point. Smoke has been quite a big issue in the last 2.5 weeks. For most of the time, it's been blowing towards Whitby, but at times it's also been blowing towards Robiners Bay, Scarborough, Pickering and Moulton. Advice if you're affected by smoke is keep your doors and windows closed. If driving in smoky areas, keep your windows wound up, air vents closed and switch off air conditioning systems. Keep hydrated with cool drinks. Whilst causing short-term poor air quality, exposure to smoke from large-scale wildfires is unlikely to contribute to any long-term health effects. And in general, exposure to smoke is more likely to affect people who've got existing breathing problems, lung or heart conditions such as asthma, bronchitis, chronic pulmonary disease or heart disease. The very young and very old, smokers and people with flu or flu-like illnesses may also be at greater risk after exposure to smoke from fires. Now, for me personally, I witnessed firsthand the sheer scale of the Langdale Moor Fire, driving on the A171 in the early hours of Tuesday morning from Whitby to Scarborough when the road was still open. I really could not believe my eyes when I saw just the amount of flames and smoke covering such a huge area and so close to the road as well. Now, we have got some incredible footage on the This Is The Coast website and social media pages from earlier this week showing that. And it's one thing to be in awe of it. It's quite another to actually have a property, a business and livestock yards away from the flames. That is something completely different and, of course, very, very worrying for those involved. Well, I've been speaking to Graham Smith, who runs the Meadowbeck Holiday Cottages and Shepherd's Huts, which you'll find just on the other side of the road from the Farningdale service station, which the other day looked like a different world. The sky was yellow, filled with smoke, which was blowing very, very fast, and a real concern that the fire could reach them. I should also say that they have animals on the site as well, so massively worrying for them. Here's the chat that I recorded on Wednesday morning with Graham.
I've been helping the firefighters most of the night and through the day, doing a lot of work trying to get this fire put out. But the farmers around this area have been absolutely amazing. They've been really good. If it wasn't for to be honest, if it wasn't for the farmers, the firemen actually said that we wouldn't have probably contained the fire. So everybody's got together and everybody's mucked in. The community in total have done a real good job, but I don't think we're out of the woods just yet. Obviously, we're covered in smoke up here. It's very hard to breathe, but it is calmed down, and we are okay. We are keeping windows closed, and yes, we're not as bad off as some people in the world of today. But do you know what, Paddy? I wish all the best to the farmers, and that they'd definitely the government would look after these people. That is a definite, because they're a hand of God.
Yeah, so obviously you've not had much sleep last night then. You say you were out helping the firefighters. How were you helping them then?
Well, in the daytime, it was at over at near Oscar Point, where there was a fire hydrant, and they was there with the fireman was there with like a pool. There was called off because there was an emergency where a tractor went and nearly got fire. A farmer was struggling to get out of the blaze. He had abandoned, so the fireman had to go. So when the next tractor came, me and a friend of mine actually helped fill the next tractor with the water from the hydrant. So I was doing that on occasions, and then was obviously my good friend Mr. Stringer was feeding them in the day and making sure they was comfortable best they could. And then once I actually got back, so I went out for the day to get the food in for the animals and couldn't get back from Whitby. So when I couldn't get back, I kept calm for 4 hours and helped out. And then when I got back, I went out and helped up on Grouse Hill, because Grouse Hill, the caravan site there, was very close to disaster. So it was all hands on deck up there. And the fire, we had lots of firefighters up there, and lots of farmers kept coming in with the water. So we was obviously helping with the hoses, etc., and just, helping where we could help.
Yeah, and you see, for some people, it's an inconvenience that the road is closed. But actually, when you hear what you're saying, I mean, these are people who live and work off the land there. You've got homes, you've got businesses right in the thick of it, which are at risk here, and you're all pulling together, sleepless nights because you're working through them. You're doing all you can to fight this blaze in really difficult conditions. You've got the thick smoke there as well. It's a different world, isn't it? And one that we should all.
It's a different world. It's a different world, Paddy. When you've got to think that you've got animals, there's a lot of people around here that's actually trying to get over the roads to transport animals out of the way as well. We've got all different kinds of animals here. At the moment, we can't move them, so we try to keep them comfortable the best we can. And obviously, the intake of smoke is not good for them, like it isn't for us. But it's the transportation side that we haven't got. Personally, we've got a small holding here, and we find that quite hard to be able to move any animals anywhere.
So has anyone suggested help moving your animals? I know there's been a bit of stuff on social media.
No, there's no movement of help. That's why last night I made a stance that I spoke to the chief firefighter and said, across the road down where we live, which is the opposite side of the A171, I said to him, is this going to actually reach? Have we got to evacuate? And he actually said, no, we can't see why you've got to evacuate the other side of the road. That will take a lot of doing, and I think we've controlled it. This side, obviously, it must have crept up again overnight. We'll probably be hands on deck again. But he said, while he was doing that, the police must have got involved, and there must have been eradicate of the sat round the table somehow, and they've obviously told the police to go and evacuate everybody. So we got customers that have been come on the holidays and been sent home. So when I got down, as you can imagine, I wasn't quite happy when I heard it from a fire officer. And so I confronted the police officer and said, "Who's told you?" And he says, "Well, that's what my orders are. I've had to tell everybody to go home." And obviously it caused a bit of a...
Yeah, and this is the problem, isn't it? The things are changing all the time, and everyone's just trying to do their job. So obviously, communication can sort of fall down at times. But look, we wish you all the best. I know there's been people, on social media saying if people do need animals transported to a safe place, get in touch. So I'll keep an eye out for that, and if we can put you in touch with anyone, we will. But all the best with it, and I really appreciate you giving us a few minutes this morning.
Yeah, no problem. Obviously, everyone's tired. It was helping here. There's farmers out there that's been at it for 48 hours. I was talking to a farmer there. He's been doing it 48 hours, and he's been saying where we're going to go next. That they're the men. I mean, it brings the best out and the worst out in people, doesn't it?
Yeah, true.
The community is working at its best, but all I just say is please, 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 if you can get it through to this government to help these farmers
Thank you so much, Graham. You take care.
Okay, thank you very much. Bye-bye.
And that was Graham Smith from the Meadowbeck Holiday Cottages and Shepherd's Huts, who also has animals on the site as well, just opposite the Flask Inn and Farningdale service station, who certainly at one point was extremely close to the fire.
The Yorkshire Coastcast with Paddy. This is The Coast.
Well, you heard how full of praise Graham was for the local farmers. We can speak to one right now. And this is Mike Shardlow, who you may know from Beacon Farm at Sneinton, which is also extremely close to where the Langdale Moor Fire has reached in recent days, certainly this week. Mike, you've been involved in helping to transport water to firefighters since early this week.
I came in on Tuesday morning. And we've been carting water to a lot of the retained firefighters with four-wheel drive engines onto the edge of the moor.
Okay, so did you just sort of volunteer yourself or have you been contacted?
Yeah. No, we volunteered. We ran the command centre and they were desperate for tankers. So we brought it in and we've been running this 24 hours a day since. We have me and the family, and then I had another driver on, Chris Coates. He gives me a day off work to come and drive it yesterday morning, took over from me at 7 a.m.
Yeah, I've seen lots of these tankers in the area. So just talk us through how it's working.
So the tankers are carting all the water from various points, Woodsmith Mine, the River Esk, Whitby Harbour, up to the fire engines. Some of them, like I'm doing now, I'm going straight onto the moor myself and dosing down some hot pots still up there. So all of a sudden, like last night, you'll see a little flame here and there. So we're just dampening them down.
Do you know if the rain last night has helped?
Oh, tremendously. If we hadn't have had the rain, we'd have been in a bigger mess than we are now. Yeah, the rain, the retained firefighters that are used to this sort of work on the moorland have been wonderful. They've given so much advice. And the Collins Earthwork lads on a dozer and a digger, those lads have worked virtually 24 hours a day and put fire breaks in all over. If not, it would have gone. I'm standing 500 yards from a farmstead at the edge of the fire. It would have taken that farm out if it weren't for those lads.
And this is the thing,
two farms here.
Yeah, well, this is the thing, isn't it? It's a moorland fire, but there are farms, there are villages, there are properties, businesses, very, very close by. You just need to see the video footage from Grouse Hill and Farningdale service station the other day.
I haven't seen all those yet, Paddy, but they said that was frightening. I mean, the work the farmers are doing, I've got a fella here, they've been cutting a lot of things in. I'm going to have to go because somebody's got to come to see me, Paddy. Sorry.
Yeah. All right, well, look, thank you for updating us and all the best, mate. Well done.
Yeah. Cheers.
Mike Shardlow there, a local farmer from Beacon Farm, who is, as we speak, helping in that bid to help put out the fire by transporting tanks of water, along with a number of other farmers who are working 24/7 tirelessly at the moment to do just that. And obviously, as you can appreciate, it is a very busy time for him, so I do not want to keep him for any longer than is needed.
The Yorkshire Coastcast, loving life in Yorkshire. The people, the places. This is The Coast.
Well, coming up, we'll be speaking to Scarborough Whitby's MP, Alison Hume, about the government response. Firstly, though, let's hear from Area Manager of North Yorkshire Fire and Rescue, Ben Ilsley, who's been talking this week. He says that they've been supported by crews from across the county, both to tackle the blaze and provide backfill cover for the usual day-to-day call-outs.
We use the nearest crews that are available. So all the crews to the east of the county, including Whitby, Pickering, such as have attended, but we rotate the crews on a regular basis for their welfare and relief. So we have seen an attendance from as far to the other end of the county as Bentham. We have used firefighters from nearly all areas of North Yorkshire, and we've balanced fire cover around the rest of the county. So it hasn't been that all our resources are at the job. We have maintained a suitable level of fire cover, although it has been a challenge throughout the last week. We've been brilliantly supported throughout this incident by partner agencies such as the MOD, the Forestry Commission, private contractors, gamekeepers, Yorkshire Water, and a big shout out to the local farming community who provide brilliant support on scene throughout.
And Ben was particularly appreciative of the help of local farmers.
I can't thank the farmers enough. Their work ethic, their can-do, their rallying around, bringing this incident to a close has been pivotal in preventing further fire spread. They've been supporting operations by delivering water to the scene, by putting slurry down to dampen ground, by doing some basic work in terms of cutting back potential further combustible materials. They've been a massive support and I can't thank them enough.
Well, the community's been rallying round to support those who are helping to tackle the fire. Coates Marine have set up a table with refreshments, drinks, snacks at Whitby Harbour, where farmers have been sucking up water from the River Esk into those big tanks to take to the moorland. Others have been dropping off supplies at local fire stations as well. Let's now hear from Scarborough and Whitby's MP, Alison Hume, who has visited the site of the Langdale Moor Fire several times. I popped into her constituency office on Northway in Scarborough. Earlier on, she'd just got back from Scarborough Fire Station, and the first thing that she shared with me was the news that National Resilience is coming in to support the efforts of all those tackling the blaze.
Obviously, I'm incredibly relieved that National Resilience is on its way and is arriving. I was down at Scarborough Fire Station this morning, and they are so happy to have backup. These guys and gals have been working non-stop now for nearly 3 weeks, and the difference that National Resilience will mean that they can take a break. There'll be different sorts of vehicles and appliances coming in to help them. It's been an amazing effort so far. We've not seen a fire like this in living memory, 25 square kilometres, 2,000 acres. And what I've been struck by is not only the incredibly hard work of the firefighters, but what the farmers have been doing, and actually what that says about our service, because the public are really calling in and saying, wow, the farmers are doing this and they're pumping the water and they're supporting the firefighters, and the firefighters admit that they couldn't do it without the farmers. So I think when this major incident is over, questions are going to be asked about how well funded our service is, how resilient our service is, because this is the hottest summer on record, and summers are not going to get cooler. So while we can hope and pray that there'll never be an incident like this, the likelihood is that we are going to see significant moorland fires.
Yeah, so how will this national resilience look then? You mentioned, national support, giving those that are on the ground at the moment a rest, but in practical terms, what exactly does it involve? Well,
from talking to the firefighters, National Resilience involves appliances coming from other services and personnel, and it just means that it will take the pressure off North Yorkshire Fire and Rescue. Of course, other services have been helping, but I've heard, reports of people coming from further away, so that's good. And then the other thing to say is that North Yorkshire Fire and Rescue have asked the government for an emergency fund to be opened, and I have spoken and written to the ministers involved with my support. We need that emergency fund open, because there's no way that our fire service can fund this national incident.
Yeah, you mentioned the farmers, how important they've been, but the community really has come together, hasn't it? For example, Coates Marine in Whitby have been supplying a table with snacks and drinks next to the water's edge, where the farmers have been sucking up the water to take to the moorland, and lots of people have been donating stuff at fire stations too, haven't they?
Yeah, it's been an incredible community response, and I've been really moved to see what people have been doing, and our hearts are going out to farmers who will just stay on the site until the job's done, and I have to say that it's been quite moving. And the other thing is that there's been a GoFundMe page set up, that wanted £100, is now about 7,000 or 8,000 for fuel for the farmers. So everybody's coming together. Speaking to the firefighters at Scarborough today, they've been so touched by the donations, but they're saying that if people do want to donate money going forward, to look at the firefighters charity, because that would be a really good way of channeling that kind of affection and gratitude.
There was some rain last night. We were in Whitby, amazing thunderstorm, and I know you were travelling between, I think, Whitby and the area as well in Scarborough, so you'll have got caught in it as well. Have they said that has, speaking to a farmer this morning, he said it has made quite a big difference. From what you've heard then today, has that rain helped quite a bit?
Yes, so you're right. I was travelling from the office here in Scarborough back home to Whitby, and as I went past Fylingdales, the heavens opened and there was a lightning storm, and I was so relieved, actually, as everybody was. It has made a difference. The situation has improved overnight. The fire, has been contained, and they're working on that, on containing the spread. So it came at the right time. We're hoping that the cooler weather and more rain forecast will help. But, I need to be really honest with listeners. This is a peatland fire. It could go on for weeks, months. I've said this before, but because of the nature of how it goes down deep and burns across, this we don't know how long this fire's going to last.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and the problem is, it might seem like we're getting somewhere, a bit like a few days ago, when suddenly it starts up again for whatever reason. I mean, it was a particularly warm day on Bank Holiday Monday, and suddenly it's roared back into life and coming very close to places like Grouse Hill, Caravan Park, Fylingdale Service Station. We were in that area the other day, and it looked like a different world. It looked like a scene from a movie.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And what happened, talking to the firefighters, was you're right, it was the hot temperature, but it was the wind, and it was the unique way it changed, and it sort of whipped it up like a hurricane, and they thought they had it under control, and then off it went. And I think there was concerns around the Flask Inn, the petrol station. There were evacuations. There was a lot of smoke on the east side of Whitby. People were contacting me, businesses really worried, and all I could say was the public health advice, shut your windows and doors and air vents. But it's very hard and it's frightening. So it's a huge relief that we seem to be moving in the right direction, but it can change, so be vigilant.
And of course, people are talking about climate change, and we have had big fires before. Maybe 20 years ago at Ravenscar, there was another very, very big fire. But, with the temperatures warming up, as they definitely are these days, then there is an increasing chance that this could happen more often. And so it is so important that we are more prepared, I suppose, going forward. There's definitely going to be lessons learned, aren't there, from this? Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, it's no secret the North Yorkshire Fire and Rescue Service has been underfunded for, in the way the criteria is done. It's, we're a relatively well-off county with a sparse population, so we don't get as much funding. It's not good enough, and clearly we're going to have to look at that, and it's a challenge for the government and for the mayor, who takes overall responsibility for the service.
With it being the summer break as well, you'll have had more chance, I suppose, to be on the scene. I mean, literally driving back and forth each day. So I suppose that's one positive for you, that you've been able to keep yourself close to the action and keep an eye on everything and offer your support more than you would if it was maybe next week or the week after.
Yeah, I know, and I'm here for my constituents, and I feel what they're going through, and of course it's good that it's recess, but you know what, I would have probably come back and to be here even if I'd been sitting in the house.
And that was Scarborough and Whitby's MP Alison Hume speaking to me earlier on.
The Yorkshire Coastcast, loving life in Yorkshire. The people, the places. This is The Coast.
Well, this is the sound of a helicopter taken off from near Goathland with a giant bag attached to the bottom of it to fill with water to help in the Langdale fire. This video has been posted by the Goathland Volunteer Fire Station, who say after a great meal and a comfy stay at the Inn on the Moor Hotel, the helicopter pilot is off to Langdale to help the crews tackle this fire. Well, it is an ever-changing situation, but the current list of road closures include the A171 Robiners Bay turn to Cloughton, and also the A171 Summerfield Lane to Fern Farm Horsker, and also the B1416 as well in the Sneaton Thorpe area. And there's lots of other minor roads that are closed too, around Harwood Dale and Cloughton and Littlebeck, Sneaton Thorpe, Staintondale, Filingthorpe, and in other places too. Now, if you click thisisthecoast.co.uk and the Yorkshire Coast news section, then you can get the full list of road closures and the very latest developments on the fire as well. And you can follow us on social media for regular updates too. Big thanks to you for listening to episode 29 of the Yorkshire Coastcast, which we've dedicated completely to the Langdale Moor fire. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Podcasts, and always at thisisthecoast.co.uk/podcasts. And after more showers today and hopefully further showers forecast in the coming days, those battling the fire will have more help from nature to control it. But as has been said a number of times in this podcast alone, the peat is going to be burning for weeks. And so there's always the risk that the fire could reignite and get going again in any number of places, to be honest. So fingers crossed that it can be kept under control. We'll, of course, keep you updated regularly on This Is The Coast, online, on air and on social media. And we will see you on episode 30. Thanks for listening.
The Yorkshire Coastcast with Paddy.
This is the coast.